Hi again, everybody. My name is Edgar Ndjatou, and I'm the Executive Director for Workplace Fairness. And we're doing this next video to talk about the recent layoffs in the federal and private sector and to talk about the rights that workers have when it comes to a job loss. And I'll be joined today by Kathy Heldman, who is on staff at Workplace Fairness. She is our legal content manager, and she is the wizard behind making sure all our content pages are up to date for the people who visit our site. Welcome, Kathy.
Thanks so much, Edgar. I'm really excited to be here. I know that as I've been out and about talking with people, employees and workers are really, really concerned about what's been happening with the Trump administration and all of the changes. And so I'm really grateful that we're
Yeah.
both here to talk about it a little bit
Yep.
and give individuals some guidance in terms of first, how they can know their rights, and second, what they can do to protect themselves. So,
Yep.
should we just get started?
Yeah, let's do it.
Awesome, awesome. So, my first question for you is if you suspect that you might be laid off, what are some of the things that you can do?
Yeah, so if you're expecting that a layoff is pending or that you've essentially been told that the writing's on the wall, the first thing that I would do is if you suspect that there might be any legal claims that you want to preserve, um, that would be a very good time to start preserving documentation, according, of course, to um, any laws that protect the employer from their data being being taken out of the workplace or sent to another email. So be mindful of that, but certainly start the process of recording any email communications or documentation that would be helpful to you in preserving your legal claims, because that way, when you do talk to a lawyer, that lawyer can have at least some information at hand to best help you assess what kind of claims you might have. The second thing that I would say is, and this is more of a practical matter, but get an idea of what benefits might continue or what benefits might you have to roll over once you leave your employer. So some of the common things are any retirement benefits that you might want to understand how you might roll over into your own personal retirement say retirement account. If you want health benefits, usually if your termination happens within the month, your health insurance coverage lasts towards the end of that month. But you might be eligible for COBRA benefits, which is a continuation of your employer's health coverage. That is a cost you have to bear, but if you want to do that, you want to get information about that right away. And any other benefits that you might want to understand what you can take with you, what you can't.
That's awesome. You talked a little bit about contacting an attorney to get more information, and if you have any questions. I know myself, when I was working in the corporate arena, I wouldn't know the first place to look
Right.
to go and find an attorney. And so, can you tell us a little bit about the Find an Attorney resource that we have on
Yeah.
workplacefairness.org?
Yes, so on our website at workplacefairness.org, we do have an attorney directory that covers most of the 50 states around the country. And if you're looking for an attorney by certain practice area, you can come to our site and get that information and certainly consult with the attorney directly. If you are having trouble navigating the site or finding the right type of attorney, let us know and we can try to match you with someone manually, essentially, to ensure that you get the help that you need.
Thank you. That's
Yeah.
terrific. Um, so, if you suspect that you're being laid off and you want to be
Yeah.
proactive, what are some of the things that you can do in terms of approaching your job search?
Yeah, so I think that one of the big things you want to do when you are when you know that you might be back in the job market is, with your current employer, make sure that you know where you stand. For example, like if you want some sort of reference, you want to make sure that your employer will gladly give you a neutral deposit reference, and that's not going to be an issue for you as you embark on your job search. And certainly, if you have made any valuable connections in your current role or about to be former role, make sure that they have your personal contact information and that also that they might be willing to provide a reference for you when you need it as you start embarking your job search. And then also, take stock of any accomplishments that you made in that role, and make sure that you catalog those accomplishments, because that's going to help you create your new resume or update your resume, help you update your LinkedIn profile, or help you better talk about your experience in that role, so that way you can market yourself. And again, depending on where things stand with your employer, if things are, look, of course, layoffs are not great, but if things are ending somewhat amicably, then at the very least, you want to enlist their support in helping you talk about the things that you accomplished in your role, because whatever you can do to give yourself a leg up in the job in the job market, you want to do that.
Absolutely. And references are so key. Do you have any advice for individuals, either if they suspect that their manager or employer won't give them a good
Yeah,
reference? Do they need to be worried? What can they do?
yeah. You should always have some level of caution when that's the case. I would say that most employers do have a standard neutral reference policy. So even in the worst of separations, an employer will still give a neutral reference, which basically confirms your position, the dates you worked there, when appropriate, your last salary, and that's pretty much it. Now, in the event that your direct manager is not inclined to give you a positive reference, uh, I would say that think about any other people you worked with that either might be at the same level as you, or maybe in another management position, that can vouch for your you know good work at the organization. That's probably the next best thing. And at the end of the day, uh, most employers, all they want to know is that that they're making a good decision by hiring you, and just want that person to vouch for your good character and your work performance. And so, is it the end of the world that it's not your direct manager? No, it's not. I mean, it's obviously the best option, but if you can get that, and then sometimes it's not even for a bad relationship. This could just be that the person is not someone that is easily reached any longer.
Yep.
Having someone that was a close colleague that worked with you closely, or another manager that would have been able to have seen your good work and gotten to know you is fine too.
That's great. Thank you. Um, we are hearing a lot and a lot about layoffs.
Yeah.
People are being laid off. How do I know if I've been laid off?
Yeah. So typically you should get some sort of notice, whether it's by now these days email, or you might just have that unfortunate meeting with HR and management, whether over Zoom or in person. Uh, so that's how you'll know. It should never You should never be guessing if that's the case, and if that's happening, then that's indicative of perhaps a process that's not well, that has not been well planned, or well organized. But that's typically how it would happen, is that you'll get some sort of
Okay,
notification in writing, whether electronically or on the mail, or you're called into some sort of meeting with HR, um, or someone in management. And it doesn't always have to be your direct manager. It could be someone else in management that whose job it is to um, you know, you know, bring you the bad news. Now, what I would say about these meetings or communications is that, and the common thing I see a lot where people say, well, if I don't sign something, then it's not going to happen. That's not true. Just telling you is usually enough. And signing is you acknowledging that the conversation generally happened, not necessarily that you agree. Now, look, up to you. If you don't want to sign anything, that's fine, but it doesn't change the fact of the decision. So, just want to dispel that myth. I see it all the time where people will try to say that. But I would say that when these occur, make sure that you identify the right point of contact if you have any questions about anything, particularly if you're being offered a severance. Um, Now, and if you're offered one, don't sign it right away. Never do that. Make sure you take time to review it. Make sure that you know, take time to consult an attorney to make sure that there's nothing that is, out of line, or that maybe there are other claims or things you can leverage for a higher severance amount. Um, so that'll be my biggest advice when you get notified that you've been laid off or terminated, that you don't agree to anything. Take it, say thank you, I will review this, and talk to you, whomever you need to talk to, especially an attorney, to help you make a final decision. And if you have to sign things, again, you don't have to if you don't want to, but it doesn't mean that the decision is not going to still move forward, whether or not you sign any documentation acknowledging that the conversation occurred.
Awesome. And it's so scary, right? Not only just being laid off, but then you start to think about, oh my gosh, how am I going to pay my bills?
Right,
How am I going
right.
to, buy groceries? So can you talk a little bit about the unemployment
Yeah.
process and how you navigate that?
Yeah, so whether you're a federal employee that's been let go or in the private sector, you can tap into your state's unemployment um, pool to get those benefits. And so I would encourage you all to look up your state's unemployment agency, because the requirements might vary state to state on that. But one of the big things that you have to keep in mind to qualify for benefits is that you have to have worked for the employer for enough period of time, usually about 6 months, or a certain amount of hours at any given time within a period to qualify for unemployment. And also, you have to be willing and able to work. And that's a really big one. So, if you're on any type of disability, or just not able to work, or, or engage in a meaningful job search, then you would not be eligible. Other
Right.
things that might make you ineligible for unemployment is if you were let go for any type of gross misconduct. Uh, now, it's from my experience at least, it's very rare that someone will be denied unemployment fully, even for gross misconduct, but it can happen. So just keep that in mind. Um, but like general, like if you're laid off or if you're let go for bad performance or whatever it is, usually that's not going to disqualify you for unemployment. It's really the things that most places will say are beyond the pale in terms of why someone should be let go. But I would say that it's important to act on it quickly. Um, and keep in mind that if you are getting a severance, that can help you extend your unemployment a little longer. It doesn't mean that the amount of time and money you will get by statute or by law in each state will change. But if you're getting severance payments every 2 weeks, then you might be able to get unemployment in the weeks that you're not getting severance pay, but you're getting that severance a little longer, because of that severance payment you're getting. Or if you pick up some part-time jobs, that might help you make some income as you're trying to find more stable employment. Then in the times that you're not working or you're not getting a paycheck from that part-time work, you can drop from unemployment. But the main thing is to start early in the process, so that way you can guarantee that you're getting some income, as quickly as you can, because it does take some time for unemployment to kick in, because you have to apply and wait for a decision to be made, um, and for your employer to justify or to verify that you were let go and if the reason. So it does take a little bit of time. But once you've been approved, then the money will start.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we've talked about a lot of different topics during our chat, and I know that we'll probably see
Yeah.
additional changes. So, what would you recommend to people in terms of resources or where they could get additional information should they have questions?
Yeah. Well, right now, Workplace Fairness is updating its content regularly to ensure that our content is up to date and helpful as um, the needs change with the current job market. But there are also, other great resources out there, and we're actually working to create a resource page for those that are going through changes with the administration that has impacted their employment. So stay tuned for that. And the beauty of that resource page is that not only does it is it buoyed by the strength of our content, but we also will create or add in resources to other websites, on the internet that are giving good information to workers that have been impacted. So stay tuned for that. But certainly, come check us out for your rights content. If you want to get connected to an attorney, we have a blog as well that is always relevant with current topics, and we'll also have a podcast, the worker experience as well.
That's awesome. A lot of resources
Yeah.
that are available
Yeah.
to help people. So that makes me feel really, really grateful. So this has been terrific
Yeah.
talking with you about this, Edgar. Thank you so much for sharing your expertise.
No problem. And as always, check us out. I'm on the internet. And Kathy, thank you so much for joining me today.
You're welcome.
Take care, everybody.